Far from the Shadowlands of the Dark Lord Morgoth, Lúthien, Princess of Doriath, felt the terrible pain of her beloved Beren as he withered away in Tol in Gaurhoth, Sauron's deadly island fortress. At once she wished to come to his aid, enlisting the help of her friend Daedon the minstrel, but he betrayed her, revealing her plans to Thingol and commissioning the creation of a beautiful house within a large tree, housing Lúthien there and removing any way for her to leave the home. But she refused to abandon Beren and used magic to grow her hair long, then using it as material to make an enchanted robe, cast with a spell, placing any who looked upon her to sleep. She also fashioned a rope, using it to climb down and escape. While traveling through the forest, she was discovered by Huan, the wolfhound of Valinor, once a hunting companion of the Vala Orome, who'd been made ageless, tireless, and sleepless, even granted the gift of speech, though was only allowed to speak 3 times during his life. It was prophesied that Huan could only be killed by the greatest wolf that ever lived. When the Noldor elves still lived in Valinor, Orome gave Huan to his friend Celegorm, son of Feanor, to protect him and serve by his side. Huan was so powerful, the spell of Lúthien had no effect on him, and so he brought the Elf Maiden before his master. Celegorm and Curufin, who'd been opposed to Finrod's journey with Beren, then used the situation to their advantage. Struck by her beauty and seeing the tremendous merits in marrying the daughter of King Thingol, Celegorm sent a letter to Doriath telling them of Lúthien's arrival and of their impending marriage. Yet so lovely a creature was Lúthien that even the hound Huan loved her, and so he spoke for the first time, helping her escape from captivity. When they arrived at Tol in Gaurhoth, Lúthien sang a song that could be heard throughout the area. It even reached Beren as he wallowed in the darkness of his prison. The man then summoned the last of his strength and sang his own song, which Lúthien heard. But Sauron too learned of her location and sent his werewolves to stop her. One by one, Huan battled and tore apart these enemies, until Sauron sent Draugluin, first and oldest of their kind, and he engaged in a great battle with Huan, but could not best him, and so Draugluin fled, escaping back to his master and warning him of Huan's presence before dying from his injuries. Sauron then took the form of a werewolf and went to confront the beast himself, engaging in yet another terrible battle, transforming into a snake and his own form during the fighting, but still Huan would not relent, defeating the Lord of the Isle and forcing him into surrender. Yet as soon as Huan released him, he changed form into a bat and flew away. Lúthien then searched and found Beren in his prison, and the two were at last reunited. They then buried Finrod and left the area. Huan the Hound, satisfied that he'd done his duty to Lúthien, returned to Nargothrond to continue serving Celegorm, though the son of Feanor no longer had the same love for the creature he'd once felt. In addition to Huan, many of the prisoners Lúthien had freed returned to Nargothrond, and as they were loyal to the deceased King Finrod, persuaded the Noldor that the sons of Feanor had evil in their hearts, and were wrong to have spoken against the king. And so both Celegorm and Curufin were banished from the realm, sent to find refuge with their brothers in the east. Beren meanwhile continued on his mission to claim a Silmaril, and while he desired that Lúthien remain behind, or return to Doriath for her own safety, she outright refused, insisting that they not be parted. Yet once again conflict found them, as the sons of Feanor happened upon them in the forest, and again tried to steal Lúthien away, although Huan the Hound once again turned on his master during the engagement, protecting Beren and Lúthien. Beren was gravely injured while diving in front of his beloved, taking an arrow in the chest for her protection. Huan then chased the sons of Feanor away, and returned with a special herb, which added to the magic of Lúthien, saved Beren's life. Continuing on their journey, Huan brought them the skin of the werewolf Draugluin and the bat-fell Thuringwethil, speaking for the second time and advising that they use them as disguises, then saying goodbye because he could go no further. As they traveled into Angband, Lúthien also used her magic to put any who gazed upon them to sleep. Even Karkaroth, servant of Morgoth and the most powerful werewolf to ever exist, fell to her enchantment as he looked upon them. Beren and Lúthien then snuck through the fortress of Angband into Morgoth's chamber, and even the Dark Lord could not resist Lúthien's spell, entranced by her beauty and put to sleep by her magic. Beren then cut a Silmaril from the iron crown, and was so elated by his success, he attempted to take a second Silmaril in the hopes of collecting all 3. However, his blade broke as he cut the second jewel, causing a shard of steel to cut Morgoth's cheek, stirring him from sleep. Beren and Lúthien, forgetting about the other jewels, then hastily made their way out of the fortress. However, Carcharoth, now awoken, confronted them as they escaped, and so Beren pulled out the Silmaril, hoping its brilliant light would scare the creature away. The werewolf instead bit off Beren's hand, swallowing the Silmaril and immediately turning to madness as it burned his insides. Carcharoth went on a rampage through the forest, ignoring Beren and Lúthien, just as all of Angband awoke, threatening to destroy them. But then the Eagles of Manwë arrived, having been summoned by Huan the Hound, carrying the man and Elf Maiden to safety. Again, Lúthien's magic saved Beren's life, and the couple, having ended their mission in failure, returned to Doriath, presenting themselves before the king and telling of their astonishing adventure. Although Beren had not succeeded in bringing back the Silmaril, Thingol was marveled by the story, seeing clearly that this was no ordinary human, and that indeed he was worthy of marrying his daughter. With Beren now accepted among them, the king organized a great hunt, traveling into the forests of Doriath to slay the beast Carcharoth, who was slaughtering everything in his path. Alongside the king, Beren joined the hunt, along with Huan the Hound, and many other lords and heroes of Doriath. As they searched for the creature, Carcharoth was the first to attack, leaping out to kill the king. Yet Beren leaped before him with a spear, which was knocked aside as the creature bit into the human's chest. Huan then charged forth against the werewolf, engaging in a vicious battle as Beren lay dying. And while Carcharoth was defeated, Huan suffered terrible injuries, using the last of his strength to walk over to Beren and lay by his side, speaking for the third and final time to bid farewell before dying. One of Thingol's men then cut open the werewolf beast and removed the Silmaril, placing it in Beren's hand so he might fulfill his vow and present the jewel to the king. Although Beren was so badly injured he could no longer speak, he held on to life just long enough to gaze upon Lúthien one last time before dying. As was the fate of men, Beren's spirit was transported to the halls of Mandos, where he would wait for a time before leaving the world entirely. Yet even before the mighty Valar, Beren was steadfast, refusing to proceed into the afterlife until he saw Lúthien again and said a proper goodbye. Lúthien, meanwhile, could not live without his love, and so died shortly after Beren, her spirit then going to the halls of Mandos to be among the elves who would be reborn in Arda. There she sang a beautiful song of sorrow, which moved Mandos to pity, and so he went to seek counsel from Manwë, lord of the Valar, who consulted with their creator Eru to determine the fate of Beren and Lúthien. And so Lúthien was offered a choice. Either she could continue on to the elven afterlife, or else she could be reborn alongside Beren in Middle-earth, destined to live a mortal life and share in the fate of men. Rejecting the gift of immortality, she chose to live a life with Beren, and so they spent the rest of their time together, living in Tol Galen of Osiriand, and having a son they named Dior, who would be the heir of King Thingol. Dior was believed to be one of the most beautiful beings to ever live, because in his veins ran the blood of men, elves, and even the Ainur through his grandmother Melian. Only once more did Beren involve himself in the affairs of Beleriand, gathering together a group of green elves and ents to ambush the dwarves of Nogrod, who destroyed Doriath and killed King Thingol, stealing from him the necklace Nauglamir. Once Thingol was avenged and the treasure recovered, Beren gave the beautiful prize to his wife Lúthien, and the two continued to live together for many years, dying a peaceful death at the same time in their old age. For thousands of years, the tale of Beren and Lúthien inspired and enthralled the peoples of Middle-earth, standing as a shining example of a love so strong none could stand between them. Further, it was the first known marriage between a human and elf, creating a bloodline that would endure until the end of the world. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sami the Fair Budhaig, Arhael the Silent Blade, and Sir Daeron of House Ashford. If you would like to help CivilizationEx, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.